Blu-rays and I rip them for my own little media server, but I also like having it in case the internet goes down. So I can understand the perspective. It's just a shame that this is ending in favor of having the network and being part of Peacock. One of the things that's kind of odd that they did is they scrapped changing. Well, let me start in the beginning. They decided that Elias was over enough and wanted to change up his character a bit to go away from the character that he was using, which is that, I guess, runaway kind of person with a walk with Elias with a guitar, and they wanted to rebrand him. I don't understand why. He was an over character. He had bumps in the road, but that was more from the creative side of things. It wasn't because of lack of his ability or interest in the character. It's just they kept screwing him over as a character. So people like me who are big fans of him in the beginning kind of lost interest in being fans of him, because it was one of those things. Why were we going to get this motivated behind a character that we know is going to lose in the end, and they're just going to destroy it anyway? They kind of shot themselves in the foot with it. They had no reason to rebrand him because of that, and it's one of those things that makes it very disappointing to pay attention to WWE TV, because it feels like it's going to happen no matter what. If you get behind a character that you like, turns out maybe a year or 2 years, maybe even months, that either they're not going to be on TV anymore, or they're going to go from being an interesting character to being squashed all the time. And on squashing, I haven't watched SmackDown yet. It just aired a couple hours ago, but I haven't watched it. I typically don't watch it the day of, but I saw a clip that was uploaded to their social media where Roman spears Sami Zayn, and that was the end of the match after doing the guillotine. There is a possibility that Sami Zayn was beat up before the match, which is kind of looked like it because he had a hard time pulling himself on the ropes, but for WWE seeming like they want to try and keep Sami or Kevin Owens, why would they want to stay? They're no longer doing anything good by the character. They're not really investing in the character. They're basically letting their characters get beat all the time. And as someone that really likes Sami Zayn and really likes Kevin Owens, I completely understand them not wanting to stick around, because they haven't done anything of value with the characters in a long time. I remember back in 2016, I don't remember what pay-per-view it was, but it was Sami Zayn, The Miz, Kevin Owens, and somebody else in a fatal four-way. And right as soon as the bell hit, Sami Zayn sprinted across and hula kicked Kevin Owens out of the ring, and then Miz got a finisher himself and got tossed out of the ring. That was something that was very interesting and felt fresh. Since then, I can't really say, besides, them putting on good matches and character changes with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they haven't really invested much into them. They took two potential future stars and completely destroyed them. And it's very upsetting from a fan standpoint. And not to really kind of harp on this, but it's taking me weeks to record this just because, to be frank, I'm not very fond of what I've seen the wrestling community, the internet wrestling community, or wrestling fans do in general. I have stated before that I tend to listen to other podcasts, and I have listened to K100 recently, a lot of K100. And what I am finding that I disagree a lot with wrestling fans is how they're overbearing they can be. Like, I am a fan. I 100% never stepped into the ring. And I always try to look at it from a lens of trying to take the good with the bad, kind of being a devil's advocate and things of that nature. And when you hear these opinions come out and these attacks come out of people that are just trying to express their opinion like everybody else in regards to like the TV show, because this is not necessarily a right or wrong situation. People can enjoy the TV show of WWE and not like what WWE is as a business. And I would like to say I would like to get back to enjoying the TV show. I have a hard time with it because it's not good and I dislike their business, but I'm trying to, because one of the things that I've accepted is that WWE is a target for a lot of people to achieve there because they grew up watching it, so they want to get there. Then you have there is people in WWE that probably won't show up anywhere else, like Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and a few other names that are probably not going to ever show up anywhere else. And as much as I dislike how they treated AJ off and on throughout the years, I don't think AJ is going to go anywhere else besides WWE. And that sucks because I think AJ would actually put on some good matches as with a limited schedule in AEW. I would love to see AJ versus CM Punk. I would love to see AJ versus Kenny Omega. Now I've known that I think they did that in New Japan, but this is a little bit different era. I would love to see AJ versus Adam Page, AJ versus Daniel Bryan again, AJ versus all these other people, Adam Cole, Jungle Boy. AJ versus Jungle Boy would be an amazing match. AJ versus Luchasaurus, even though he's not a great worker, would be a great match in my opinion. But WWE is ultimately the end-all be-all for a lot of people, and I have accepted that. And even though I kind of hate the company to where, like, yes, I subscribe to Peacock, but I also watch NBC shows on there, and I'm trying to get caught up with a lot of stuff that they got going on between that and Hulu because my wife loves Hulu. But even with watching the most recent NXT, and this is going now to complain about WWE, I don't like their aesthetic. I get where they're coming from. The only thing I like about the new NXT 2.0, which, let's be real, is 3.0 at this point. The only thing I like about it is they have a Titantron. It's a big screen in the form of NXT, and they'll do stuff on there. I like that, but that's about it. I don't like the coloration of the mat. I think they should have kept with a black mat, and I think it's just way too bright and poppy. And I kind of noticed that they're looking like they're trying to do something very similar to the weekend shows that WWE used to put on, Saturday Slam or something like that. But I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the look. And with this more recent War Games match that went on, I did like War Games for the most part. I liked a lot of the matches they put on. And in regards to NXT, I think Braun Breaker, even though I would definitely change his name, give him back the Steiner name and everything else, I think he's going to be a future star. And to give you kind of a date when this has been recorded, this is December 11th. Hook has now debuted for AEW. And there's mixed reviews that I've read online about it. I haven't watched the episode yet. But from what I've seen clips of, I think Hook and Braun Breaker are going to be the main two guys talked about 10 years from now. I think they're both going to be second-generation wrestlers that are talked about constantly just for their ability in the ring. I don't know if Hook will be good on the mic. Braun Breaker looks like he's getting better on the mic. But I think those are two people that we're going to be seeing a lot of. The other one is, he goes by Gunnar Harlan, but it's Parker Boudreaux, one of those. He has a good look to him. Yes, he looks a lot like Brock Lesnar, but he has a good look to him, the tattoos and everything else. As long as they keep him going, I think he will be a star as well. He probably is going to need a mouthpiece, which is fine. Honestly, like if WWE is able to keep Johnny Gargano, pairing those two up and letting Gargano do the mic work wouldn't be too bad. Gargano's not great on the mic, but he does come across like as someone that could talk for a bigger person, kind of be the bully. I don't want them to necessarily put him with Paul Heyman. Even though Paul Heyman is literally doing limited promo work with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is mainly talking for himself. And as much as like I have an on-off relationship with this Roman Reigns in terms of liking him and not liking him, because I do think the presentation in ring is kind of wearing old on me. The ability to cut a promo has gotten a lot better on his part. He's able to kind of portray something more real than he's ever done before. I actually went back and watched the old promo with him and John Cena where he was talking about missionary. And that's very evident that that's more along the lines of what Roman Reigns talks about in his personal life, and it's working very well for him. There's a very few guys in the current wrestling arena that can cut a promo and stay with it like that. MJF, if he would stop kind of yelling, he would be even better. I like MJF a lot. He's a good promo, but I think the very loud speaking is getting a little old and needs to come across more sarcastic and more talking like he normally would talk in conversation. Kingston's one of the best, honestly. Punk is doing really good. And Roman, I'm impressed with Roman's ability right now. I want to shine more of a positivity light a lot of what's going on in wrestling in general, but that's one of the things I picked up on. I'm not going to try and bash WWE much. I'm going to try and highlight as much as they can. I do dislike them as a company. I really dislike them as a company. And if there's a tone change here, it's just literally, it's taken me a long time to record this episode just because of everything going on with my personal life and coming back to it and just kind of not sure if I want to continue it. I'm going to continue it because one of the things that's kind of keeping it going is the increase in follows and likes and things like that on social media. It makes me think that there is room for this here. I'm going to be launching another podcast as well. I'm going to need another person to talk with me, so I'm making a few calls to figure out who I can get to do that. It'll be more variety, talking about more news-related stuff, and hopefully having a little bit more fun with it, not just sticking to wrestling. I do like wrestling as a TV show. I don't like the fans. I don't like the internet wrestling community and how toxic it seems to have become. Guys, it's fine to share opinions, but the negativity is getting a little overwhelming, even for me, and I'm not in it constantly. So it's just something that needs to kind of chill out with. But I'm gonna keep it going. This is going up on, well, I'm not gonna really need to edit this much, but it's gonna go up on Monday. That would be the 13th. Well, technically Sunday night. This is going up. So this will be available on all the platforms. I'm gonna try and share it on all the platforms, and be very real with you guys. Again, I would love emails. I would love emails from listeners, just to kind of look over what that is. But that's wrestlingstillcool@gmail.com. Please provide any kind of feedback you have. Facebook is Wrestling Still Cool. The @ for Facebook is Wrestling Still Cool Pod. Twitter is Wrestlings S Cool. Instagram is Wrestling Still Cool. I'm active still on all those platforms. And my personal TikTok is KM_Wrestling Still Cool. Now, I'll be frank, I do a little bit of wrestling on there, and I do a little bit of my own personal takes on stuff. It does tend to get political, but I try to show where I'm standing on that one. Yeah, so you can find it all there. One last thing, just because I just thought of this while talking about what I've done on, on TikTok. The recent news about Jeff Hardy being cut and denying rehab, take a step back on it. It might not be drugs. And actually, I kind of lean towards it not being drugs. Rehab can be a lot of things. It could be physical therapy, and it can be anything. If he has back pain, because he did talk about taking pills for back pain, he might not want to do rehab because he feels like there's no benefit from it. That's fine. He also was diagnosed with COVID. As someone that had COVID and knows that there's a long haul tied to it, he could very well not be feeling well because of COVID. And rehab and having it shoved in your face that you're a druggie and you need to go to drug rehab when you are not doing drugs would piss anybody off. So take that into consideration before bashing Jeff Hardy. But that's it. Have a good day. Be nice to people.